The mind reader mistake Jason was a quiet human. He worked as a mechanic on a space station called Nara 9. Every day he repaired machines, drank too much coffee, and stayed away from trouble. He liked simple things. But everything changed the day she walked in an alien girl named Valera. Valera belonged to a race called the Miralin. They were calm, graceful, and always quiet. People said they could read minds, but Jason never believed that. Until now, she stood at his workbench, holding a strange communication device. Her skin was soft silver, her eyes a glowing violet. She didn't speak much, just pointed to the broken machine. Jason nodded and started fixing it. As he worked, Valera stood very still, watching him. Jason felt nervous but kept his head down. Then his thoughts drifted. He looked at her arms, smooth and flawless. Her face was soft and kind. And for just a second, Jason thought something he shouldn't have. She's beautiful. I wonder what it would feel like to hold her hand. Or maybe more than that. He didn't say anything out loud. But suddenly, Valera gasped. Jason froze. He looked up. Her eyes were wide, and her silver cheeks had turned a light purple color. She looked embarrassed. She stared at him, then looked away. Jason scratched his head, confused. Did I say something wrong? Valera didn't answer. She looked down, her fingers nervously holding the device. He tried to smile. Don't worry. I'll have this fixed. In a minute, she nodded slowly. Then, to Jason's shock, she whispered, You didn't say anything? But I heard you. Jason dropped his tool. Wait, what? You thought those things, she said softly. About my hands. And more. Jason turned red. I didn't mean to. It was just a silly thought, I swear. She took a step. Closer. Her voice was still quiet, but there was something different in her tone. Why did you think that? Jason blinked. I don't know. You're kind and beautiful. I didn't mean anything bad. Valera's purple blush deepened. Humans think in pictures. We don't. Your thoughts were full of color, emotion. It was loud. He rubbed his face in shame. I'm sorry. I didn't know you could read minds. Most people don't, she said. But when we're close, sometimes we hear things. Jason wanted to crawl under the workbench. He had embarrassed himself in front of the most graceful alien he had ever seen. But then Valera did something strange. She smiled. Tell me, she said softly, what did you mean by? More than that? Jason blinked again. Was this real? You really want to know? She nodded. Yes, I don't understand. What comes after holding hands? Jason laughed nervously. You're serious? Very. Well, humans kiss and hug. And sometimes ... more. His voice dropped at the last word. Valera looked thoughtful. Kiss? What is that? Jason coughed. It's like putting your lips on someone else's. It shows affection. Valera stared at his lips now. And why do humans do that? Jason smiled shyly. It's a way to feel close, to show care, or love. She looked down again, thinking hard. That's very different from us. We only share minds, not bodies, Jason shrugged. Humans are weird, I guess. She looked up at him. No, not weird. Just ... new. He handed her the fixed device. Here, it's ready. She took it gently. Their fingers touched. For a second, Jason felt something like a warm breeze moving through his chest. Valera's eyes widened again. You felt that too? She whispered. Jason nodded slowly. Yes, what was that? A bond spark, she said. It happens only when emotions and thoughts match. At the same time. Jason laughed nervously. Again, is that good or bad? She smiled. I don't know yet, but I want to learn more. He stared at her. You're not angry? She shook her head. Curious, a little nervous, but not angry. Jason couldn't believe it. She wasn't running away. She wasn't offended. She was interested. Then she surprised him again. Will you explain more of these human feelings? I want to understand. Jason nodded, heart beating fast. Yes, of course. Valera turned to leave, but before stepping away, she looked over her shoulder and said, "Next time, try to think more clearly." I might read it again. Jason stood frozen, watching her walk away with the fixed device. She had just walked into his life and into his mind, and somehow he didn't want her to leave. Her questions begin. Jason thought the strange moment was over. He fixed the device, handed it to her, and expected she would leave, maybe even avoid him forever. But the next day, she returned. Valera stood quietly near his workbench again, holding the same device. "It broke again," she said, though her tone didn't sound serious. She looked straight into his eyes. Jason knew she didn't come just for repairs. As he took the device, she leaned a little closer. "Yesterday," she said slowly, "your thoughts were confusing, but they were warm, soft. Can we talk again?" Jason's heart skipped. "Sure, I mean yes." Valera sat on a stool beside his bench, watching him work. But this time, she didn't stay silent. Her voice was calm but curious, like a child asking about fire for the first time. "What does it mean when you want to hold someone tightly while lying down?" Jason's hand slipped, dropping a screw. He looked at her in shock. "You heard that thought too?" She tilted her head. "I hear what's strong. That thought was loud, very loud." Jason turned red. "That's cuddling. It's close. Contact. Safe. Intimate." Valera nodded slowly. "And when humans do that, do they always breathe heavily?" Jason coughed. Not always. That happens when emotions get high, or when they like each other a lot." She blinked. "Like," her voice was soft but firm. "You mean ... attraction? Desire?" Jason swallowed. "Yes." Valera sat very still, her hands folded in her lap. "We don't have those feelings in the same way. We feel mental closeness. But what I saw in your mind, it was physical, full of energy. Touch, movement. It felt electric." Jason was silent. He didn't know how to explain the strange, invisible pull between humans. But he saw something in her eyes, not judgment, curiosity, even admiration. "I've never felt something so bright before," she added. "Your thoughts, even when you're embarrassed, are filled with life." Jason chuckled nervously. "Most people just think I'm awkward." Valera smiled. "You are awkward, but I like that." Jason stared. "You like that?" She nodded. "I do. It's honest." There was a pause. Then she leaned a little closer again. "Can I ask more?" Jason hesitated. "Sure." Valera spoke gently. "What does it mean when someone thinks of touching a face slowly with their lips?" Jason blinked. "That's a kiss too, a soft one. It's sweet, romantic." She nodded. "And you thought about doing that to me?" Jason looked away. "Yes, I didn't mean to. You're beautiful." Her cheeks turned purple again, but this time she didn't look away. "Thank you." Then she asked, "What do humans do when the other person wants to be kissed back?" Jason's voice was low. "They wait, they ask, or they just feel the moment." Valera looked deep into his eyes. "I think I felt that moment yesterday. When our hands touched, I didn't understand it then. But now, I think I want to feel it again." Jason's chest tightened. She was serious. Before he could speak, the door behind them opened sharply. A taller Maryland woman entered, her features stronger, her eyes glowing bright violet. "Valera," she said firmly. "Step away from the human." Valera stood up slowly. "Sister." Jason stepped back, confused. The older woman stared at Jason with sharp eyes. You don't know what you've started, human. Her kind doesn't play with emotions. You've given her thoughts she was never meant to feel. Jason raised his hands. I didn't mean to. I never forced anything. She asked questions. Valera moved between them. He didn't harm me. I wanted to know. The sister narrowed her eyes. And now you feel. You want more. That's dangerous. Jason looked at Valera. Do you think it's dangerous? Valera looked down, thinking hard. Then she said quietly, I don't know. But I don't want to stop. Her sister frowned. You are becoming something else. Valera looked at Jason. Maybe that's okay. Jason didn't know what was happening, but something told him this was only the beginning, and he wasn't ready to walk away. Not yet. Alien culture shock. The next time Jason saw Valera, she wasn't alone. She entered his workshop with her older sister walking 2 steps behind her. The room went quiet. Even the buzzing lights above seemed to hush. Jason felt the weight of those sharp violet eyes watching him. Valera, however, looked calm, too calm. Her sister spoke first, voice like cold metal. You gave her ideas, human. Now she dreams. That is not allowed. Jason stood still, holding a wrench mid-air. I didn't give her anything. She asked questions. I answered honestly. Valera turned and faced her sister. He didn't force thoughts on me. He didn't even speak. I read them. And I chose to listen. Her sister's jaw tightened. That's exactly the problem. You chose emotion over order. Jason stepped in. Hold on. Why is that a problem? The older Miralyn turned to him sharply. Because our minds are not meant to be ruled by flesh. Desire clouds judgment. Emotion spreads like fire. Valera didn't flinch. Then maybe. I want the fire. Jason blinked. Her sister looked stunned. You would destroy your purity? Risk your name, your status, your bond right for this? Valera looked at Jason, then back. I'd risk more. Jason raised a hand, still confused. Wait, what is a bond, right? Valera explained softly. Our people don't love like humans. We link minds for life. Only once. And only with someone whose thoughts feel safe. Jason frowned. So, your people mate with the mind first? Yes, and we guard that link. Forever. Valera's sister interrupted. You polluted her link before it was ever made. She heard your private images, your heat. You've changed her. Jason took a step forward. I didn't mean to hurt anyone, but I won't apologize for being human. Valera whispered, and I won't apologize for wanting to feel. The room was quiet for a moment. Then her sister pointed at Jason. If you do not walk away, human, you'll be responsible for what comes next. She will lose her place, her future, her name. Valera turned to Jason with steady eyes. Do you want me to stop asking? Jason looked at her, really looked. There was no fear in her eyes now. Only curiosity, warmth, and something new, something. Almost like trust. He shook his head. No, I don't want you to stop. Valera took a deep breath. Then I won't. Her sister stared between them. So be it. But know this. Once the connection deepens, it cannot be undone. Jason's voice was low. What kind of connection? Valera stepped closer to him. Not a full bond, not yet, but our thoughts are brushing, growing familiar. Soon, they might cling. Her sister said nothing more. She turned and walked out, the door closing behind her like a final warning. Jason exhaled slowly. What? Happens now? Valera smiled. Now I keep learning. Jason paused, unsure. And if your people come after us again? She shrugged. Then we run. Or we fight. But I won't go back to silence. Jason smiled weakly. You're braver than me. Valera laughed lightly. You're braver than you think. Your mind screamed when I touched it. But you didn't run either. Jason stared at her for a long moment. You still want to know what comes after a kiss? She nodded. But I don't want to steal it from your thoughts. I want you to. Show me when the time is right. Jason's heart beat faster. Not from fear this time, from something else, something alive. He looked at her glowing eyes and whispered, Then I guess we wait for the right moment. Valera smiled gently, not too long. I'm starting to enjoy the fire. First contact. Gets personal. Jason didn't sleep well after that. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Valera's face, those glowing violet eyes, that soft voice asking questions that made his heart twist and his stomach flip. She wasn't just curious anymore. She was changing. And deep down, he was too. The next evening, she appeared again. This time, not in her usual station robes. She wore something different, simpler, looser, like she had studied human clothes, and tried her best to blend in. Jason noticed, and he couldn't hide his smile. You look different today, he said. She tilted her head. I wanted to feel more human. I borrowed these. Do you like them? Jason nodded. Yeah, you look good. Valera stepped closer. I've been thinking about that word, good. It's small, but your mind makes it feel big. Jason chuckled nervously. It means a lot, depending on how you say it. They walked through the station gardens, a rare quiet place filled with artificial trees and soft light panels that mimicked a sunset. Valera touched everything, leaves, stones, even the warm bench they sat on like a child discovering a new world. She looked at him suddenly. What does it feel like? To touch someone not because you must, but because you want to? Jason paused. You mean like holding someone's hand? She nodded. Yes, but more. When the body says yes. Before the voice does. He swallowed. That's called attraction. And when both people feel it, they get close. They share warmth. They kiss. Valera leaned forward, watching his mouth carefully. So kissing is not just touching lips. It's a signal? Jason smiled. It's more than a signal. It's how we show care, passion, even love. Valera's voice dropped to a whisper. Can we try it? Just once? Jason froze. Her face was inches away, her silver skin glowing under the soft lights. She wasn't playing. She wasn't teasing. She wanted to understand not from his mind, but from the real feeling. He hesitated, then said gently, Are you sure? Valera nodded. I've seen it in your thoughts. Now I want to feel it with my own senses. Jason slowly leaned in. She didn't flinch. Their lips met softly, carefully. For one moment, the entire station disappeared. No machines, no rules, no warnings. Just warmth, just breath. Just two very different beings learning the same feeling. When they pulled apart, Valera blinked slowly. That was different from your thoughts. Jason's heart raced. Better or worse? She smiled. Stronger, real. It echoed through me. Suddenly Valera gasped. Her hand touched her chest. Something's happening. Jason grabbed her shoulder. Are you okay? She nodded slowly. Yes, but I feel a wave. In my mind, it's like something is linking. He stared. Is that the mind bond you talked about? She looked at him with wide eyes. No. This is something new. Deeper. Faster. It's like my thoughts want yours now. They're reaching for you. Jason backed up slightly. Is that safe? I don't know, she whispered, but I don't want it to stop. Just then, her sister's voice echoed behind them. You fool. You've triggered a bond bloom. Jason turned and saw her approaching fast. A what? Valera's sister didn't look angry anymore. She looked scared. A bond bloom is rare. It means her mind and yours are syncing without permission. Once complete, You'll never be able to think without each other. Jason looked at Valera. Is that true? Valera touched her temple. I can already feel him, even without looking. Her sister grabbed Jason's arm. Break contact, now, before it finishes. But Valera stepped between them. No, I want this. I chose this. Let the bond grow. Jason didn't move. He didn't know what would happen, but he knew one thing: he didn't want to lose her now, whatever they had started. It was real. It was happening. And it was far more than just a kiss. Asterisk the bond they can't undo. Valera didn't sleep that night. Neither did Jason. Something had changed between them, something that couldn't be undone. Their minds weren't just touching. Now they were pulling. Jason felt it even when she wasn't near. A whisper in his thoughts. A feeling that wasn't his but hers. Curious, gentle, and focused on him. When Valera returned the next day, her eyes were brighter, her steps slower, like her body was still catching up to her mind. She stopped in front of Jason and said only one sentence. It's done. Jason blinked. What's done? The bond, she said quietly. Our minds have chosen. I can feel you. Not just hear your thoughts, I feel your feelings now. Jason's stomach flipped. Forever? She nodded. Unless one of us dies, he stared. That's kind of heavy. Valera gave a small smile. I don't feel regret. Do you? Jason opened his mouth to answer, but the door burst open. The high elders of her people had arrived, 5 tall. Silver-skinned figures entered, their minds pressing against the air like a storm. Jason didn't need to be told they were angry. One stepped forward and pointed at him. You are the one, the mind polluter, the fire spreader. Jason stood firm. I didn't force anything. Valera made her own choice. She did not know what she was choosing, the elder said. She is young. You filled her head with images, cravings. Now she is ruined for us. Valera stepped forward. I am not ruined. I am alive. Her voice echoed in the quiet room. The elders looked shocked. I've never felt more awake. She said, your silence was safety. But his thoughts were freedom. Another elder hissed, you've bound with a flesh-driven species. His kind feels with impulse. Their desires burn too fast. They consume. Jason stepped beside her. Maybe. We burn fast. But at least we feel. She wanted more than control. She wanted connection. The lead elder raised a hand. Then we will remove the bond. Before it spreads. Jason grabbed Valera's hand. Don't touch her. But the elder's eyes glowed and the air grew thick. Jason felt his thoughts twist like fingers were digging through his brain, pulling pieces apart. Valera cried out, Stop! You'll break him. But the elder didn't stop. Then something unexpected happened. Valera's eyes lit up brighter than ever before, blazing violet. She raised her hand and the force in the room reversed. The elder fell back, gasping. Everyone froze. Jason looked at her. What did you do? Valera's voice trembled. I didn't mean to, but through our bond I can now push back. I've never done that before. The elders stared at her. One whispered, She's adapting. Too fast. Jason turned to them. You said humans are dangerous because we feel too much. But maybe that's our strength. Valera stepped forward. I won't break the bond, and if you try again, I'll protect him. Even from you. There was silence. Then the elders turned and left without another word. Valera collapsed into Jason's arms. Exhausted, he held her tight. You okay? She nodded weakly. I didn't know I could do that. Jason smiled. Guess we're both learning. She looked up at him. Are you scared? A little, he admitted, but I'm also glad. Valera rested her head on his shoulder. Then let's face whatever comes next, together. And in that quiet moment, with their thoughts linked and their fears fading, Jason knew this was no accident. This was fate. Jason never expected to stand trial on a space station, especially not in front of an alien tribunal that judged thoughts more than actions. The room was cold. The Morellan elders sat in a half circle, their glowing eyes watching his every move. Valera stood beside him, her hand in his, their bond steady and alive. He could feel her heartbeat inside his mind. She was calm, but under that calm, he sensed her fear. An elder spoke, voice sharp and without emotion. Human, your mind has trespassed into sacred ground. You triggered a bond without knowledge, without ritual. You must release her, or we will force separation. Jason stepped forward. I didn't choose the bond alone. Neither did she. It happened because we connected, because she wanted to know what I felt. Another elder frowned. She is still one of us. She must follow our laws. Valera's voice cut through the air. Then your laws are broken. Gasps echoed across the chamber. She turned toward them. I did not lose myself in the bond. I found strength. When you attacked him, I protected him. Not with fear, but with power. You always told us emotion was weakness, but you were wrong. Emotion is fuel. The tribunal murmured. Jason could feel the pressure shifting. Some elders were uncertain now. One stood. If the human truly believes in the bond, he must prove it. Will he protect her, even against us? Jason stepped forward. Yes, I'll fight. Not with weapons, but with my voice, my heart, and my choice. She matters to me. Silence filled the room. Then the oldest elder said, so be it. If you protect her, then you carry her burden. She can never return to our core world. She will lose her name, her bond right, her home. Valera squeezed Jason's hand. He looked at her. Do you want that? Her eyes were soft but clear. I only want you. That is home now. Jason nodded. Then we'll build something new, together. The tribunal stood and slowly walked out, leaving the chamber silent. Valera turned to him, her eyes shining. You didn't just fight for me. You chose me. Jason smiled. I'd do it again. And in that quiet, empty chamber where judgment once ruled, they kissed again. Not out of curiosity, but out of something deeper. Not even the stars outside could pull them apart now. Asterisk, she's his now. And forever they left the station that same night. Valera didn't look back, not at her people, not at the glowing towers of her cold home, not even at the tribunal chamber that once tried to erase what they shared. Her heart had chosen, her mind had bonded, and now her body followed. Jason stood beside her on the human freighter, his arm around her shoulders. He could feel her thoughts like whispers in his chest. She was quiet, but inside she was humming. With warmth, with trust, with love. She looked up at him and smiled. You know I can still read your thoughts, right? Jason smirked. Then you know I'm thinking you look incredible in that jacket. She laughed softly. That's not all you're thinking. No, he admitted, pulling her closer. I'm also thinking how lucky I am. Valera rested her head on his shoulder. I used to think emotion was a flaw, that feelings made us weak, but now I feel stronger than ever. Jason brushed her silver hair away from her face. You are stronger. You faced your people. You stood for your choice. And you didn't run from me, even when you saw the mess in my head. I didn't see a mess, she whispered. I saw color, fire, life, things I never knew I wanted until I met you. They landed on Earth 3 days later. For Valera, everything was new. Rain, wind, human smells, sounds, laughter. She touched everything like she had on the station, but now with joy instead of caution. Jason watched her run barefoot in grass, taste ice cream for the first time, and cry while watching an old movie with a happy ending. One evening they sat under the stars in Jason's backyard. She leaned into him, quiet for a long time. Then, she said, "I read your thoughts again." Jason chuckled. "Oh yeah? What was in there this time?" She turned to face him, her eyes glowing softly. "You imagined a little house, 2 chairs by a fire, and me calling your name. You weren't alone." He nodded. "I think about that future a lot." Valera took his hands in hers. "Then let's build it, that life, that dream, with both our thoughts and both our hearts." Jason pulled her close, holding her like something precious. "You're not just in my mind anymore, Valera. You're in everything," she smiled, "and I'll stay always." As the wind passed through the trees and the stars blinked above, their bond pulsed gently between them, silent, deep, and unbreakable. No longer a whisper in his mind. She was now the voice beside him, forever.